as we transition into the end of the week here and closing in on the end of the second week of September, next week will be a week that we won't soon forget. Right now, a lot of red mixed with some green in the crypto sector, some opportunity moving up. XRP's held on to that very parabolic zone that if we can hold, this is the breakout attempt out of a cup and handle, and we broke out of that consolidation. We've held the back test, not breaking out with volume so much, but right now we're still on the right side to where with a volume spike here, as I've been saying for weeks on end, we're one volume spike away in the positive direction from getting into a very parabolic wave here. Some could say this is like the third leg coming of this bull market for XRP. We had to push up in November into December. We had that pull back down to like $1.62. Then it legged up over 370 roughly. This next part of it, the third leg, when it's ready to happen, this wave is going to be the most parabolic of them all. And you're going to see a substantial move that will more than likely, it's going to close in on, there's a very real chance we could double the price and end up at that $6.39 target before it's all said and done from where this bull market started. But the official, like off the bat, when we talked about it, I mean, we had both of them up here. I'm more comfortable with 549, but the bottom line is that 638, 639 area is the destined target. So that's the destined target in this bull market. So there's a very real chance that this price could double from what you see today. Not saying there's not going to be some uncertainty along the way, but the fact that we've held these consolidations, are we actually going to dump down? The evidence in front of us right now would suggest no, because of where we're at. That's why you have the top side, and let me get rid of some of these intermediate numbers because we can just hone in on it after. But this is why I want to try to make this a little clearer today. Hold on. I still want to keep both these arrows so you can see the directive in both sides. Let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of this 250 for now. Got to keep the 189 and 3. Okay, perfect. So the objective here is, which way would this take? And we didn't know. We would assume hopefully the up direction just because it's on a bullish consolidation from where it's broken into. But there's no way of really knowing. It hasn't made any decisive move. Well, let me clear this off. There hasn't been any decisive move yet. But the good news is we've broken in the up direction so far. Now the question, I guess I should have kept the one. The question that we've asked ourselves, even if this is bullish, now do we have to come down? And would this just start using this 4-hour golden cross here? Because now you can see the 50s cross the 200. That's good news. Actually, that's great news. That's a more confirmed signal in the smaller time frame. And then if the 100 does well, then it should be a short-term pattern flip back to the top side. But the only question is would we come back down here now and back test this little breakout that we've had so far? So, and this obviously, or not obviously, if you're new, or if you're not paying attention to the chart or just don't know, and you just started watching crypto, XRP is in a very long-standing cup and handle that this target is destined for $6.38. You know, so from a standpoint like that, we cleared out very nicely in the weekly. We've cleared out not so friendly now in the daily. It's way overbought. But the MACD's moving up in the daily. In the weekly, it leaves a little cause for concern just because it looks like it could flip red from here. But you could also be waiting for a big green candle as well. So it very much depends on this next movement here of what comes in. And I'm not convinced that we're just going to go straight up. You know, I like to talk about both sides equally and try to be as non-biased as I can. But I will say with XDC, I did buy more XDC. A little more yesterday than I normally would, because like I said, I'm going to start buying it daily until it gets to a certain number. But I bought more when I did it yesterday just because we had that drop down. And I can only tell you what I'm doing. I'm trying not to influence people on the spot because then it gives the wrong objective narrative for what I'm trying to do. And I'm not a financial advisor. and this is for entertainment purposes only. So if you're buying for your own belief. So definitely got a little deeper in there, which I said I would if it dropped down to that area. And now the question is, does it get rejected here and give us an even better opportunity down at 5.3 cent area? Or do we now start to retake 7.9, push towards that 8.5 area, and finally start to break out of this long-standing, very wide consolidation? And what's beautiful about this, if you know anything about the XDC chart, is we are also working off of a very long cup and handle. And once this actually plays out, and we're measured from down here right now because we haven't fully finished this, but eventually we're going to get to 19, maybe back test 14, but eventually we're going to start making that move to 36 cents, and that's not the end of it. Oh no, it's quite the opposite. This would be just the beginning, folks. This would be just the beginning. And when it happens, not only is it going to be spectacular, but it's going to make you feel like, oh my God, I can actually do this trading game, because not only have you done it on XRP, not only would you have done it here and on so many others, you should already know you can trade if you follow the philosophy. Look what the mining stocks are doing. We're going absolutely, we're just having a good time right now in the miners. Let's just put it that way. We're having a very good time in the miners, okay? And I believe at some point, with the same patience, we're going to get this next leg in this market. And it still pains me because I still have a very straightforward process right now, and I'm not expanding outside of it. Like, my big thing is I expanded more into algo for certain reasons. I have XDC for the R3 Corda. Some people don't believe in Band, but I really like Band for what it does, being a data oracle, but it's a little deeper than that. You would have to understand a little bit deeper, because Band's not just an IOTA token, and that's why it's not classified as such. It can do this. Man, it's so hard to explain, but it takes the external data from the actual exchange, or it takes it from the blockchain to the exchange. So that's a big deal. And it can do it in any sector is the big part of it. It's a limited supply, but there's a lot of hate with it. I also like Dent, which when it dropped, and when it does drop, I've been back, as you guys know. It's just I had to make the move over to KRAKEN, but I bought Dent in the recent future, not in the last couple of days, but once I figured out KRAKEN. You guys all know the story. You've been watching. And it's like if they go down more. And then it's like you build off the philosophy. But I don't think we've hit our bull season peak yet at all. For some of these altcoins, we haven't even started yet. Now, the difference for XRP and why I say it would be the third step, XRP is very much, it could even be the fifth wave. But I'm saying, I'm not talking about from a wick off, or I'm not talking about like a five wave Elliott wave. I'm talking about the legs of a bull market. And I believe XRP would be going for its most parabolic wave, or its leg. So this would be the most parabolic leg that's about to start when it does. But I'm not a fool. I can see a chart when I see a chart. And that is a very big pattern that's been developing for a very long time. And yeah, is this something that most people are going to be like, oh, this is worth a shit? No. And I wouldn't always say it either, but it's when charts are at a certain part, they tickle my jolly, so to say. You know, and this chart is at a certain part to where once it has this move, and I'm not telling you it's going to do it, I'm just saying it's intriguing to me. And for that matter, I share it. It's got real potential from where it's at. Now if it goes up and we're sitting up here for whatever reason at, I don't know, 002 or 0, right now at 3 zeros, even if it's a pump and dump token, as some of the people have described in my audience, which I don't necessarily believe that. I just believe it was overvalued before. I believe a lot of crypto was overvalued. Well, here's the deal. WEEX is going to have cheaper fees, but they're only backed by a 1,000 Bitcoin reserve and technically they don't have all of the papers that you would want in the USA. Yes, you're allowed to use it, but it's kind of like on the same playing field as BitUnix without, because you can come up with things that say the same thing as to where Kraken's a tier 1 exchange, and with Kraken Pro, $10,000 is without fees per month. Now, you might have to pay slightly more based on where they're saying the price, but I'm just saying from a standpoint of what's safer, and you're not going to have to worry about any bullshit, lower fees is definitely going to be WEEX. So if you buy stuff on WEEX or you do the, like my suggestion would be if you want to be a futures trader, which I don't advise it, click on the link in the video description and there's WEEX. Go nuts. Or go buy stuff there and then send it. And if you can, send it to Kraken or send it to one of your tier 1 exchanges if you trust them, or to your wallets. You know, but right now, like, I don't have IOTA right now and it kills me, but it's because I don't know how long I could possibly keep it on. So I'm still vetting in a way to have more and more on there. Like I'm very hard to make trustworthy when it comes to an exchange. It's an avenue, but I've come to the philosophy where, you know what? As much as it pains me when it comes to all of this, because we've got time, I still think we're gonna have a drop. So I still think we should be able to have another time where I should be able to drop another $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 into this market without thinking, because it's going to go down. Hopefully. You know, I still have that feeling, but we're also getting close to the rate cut date. Once that rate cut date happens, and if it's 25 basis points, you might as well just go back to sleep. If it's 25, we might as well just go back to sleep. But no, yeah, I know, Frankie Fresh. I understand BitUnix says that, and I've told you guys, you can trade on it. I just don't advise you to keep your money on there for a long stretch of time, because they said the same thing with other exchanges like FEMX in the USA, and they said the same things with BitGet, and they said the same things with what was the other one? MEXC. You know, they've said the same thing with a few of these, and then all of a sudden one day you get an email and say, we're sorry, your assets has been restricted. And unless, fortunately, we've been lucky on the exchanges, and they've let you have a certain time period to withdraw after they send the notice. But some haven't been that fortunate. Not all exchanges act the same. And not everybody has that. I would never use Uphold, period. They still have 1,000 of Julie's XRP that they won't give back, so I would never use Uphold, and I'll never say a positive thing about them. So Kraken, but I would only use Kraken with Kraken Pro, so I pay the $4.99 or 79 cents a month, because then you get $10,000 a month without trading fees. So you figure you buy in, and then you're not selling anytime soon, so limit your sells, or pay fees on anything over the top. No, this is Medic. This is one of the scenarios we played through yesterday. We talked about if XRP does move up, and let's just say over time now, $2.50, and then all of a sudden now $2.70 has become the floor. And let's just say we have a move up to like that first tier where the bigger part that could get us to that 639 capitalization in this market. Let's just say we go up to that $4.89 area or hit 549. Or even let's just say we catapult to 630. Now let's just say we hit there. We finally hit that part and we're just rejoicing. But what happens if we do have a 50 to 70% pullback, but now all of a sudden $3, $2.75 becomes the floor of the floor? As to where back in the past, 30 cents, 25 cents was the floor. Even in this last downturn after getting almost $1, 38 cents was the floor. Now if all of a sudden $2.75, $3 becomes the new floor, it's just effectively priced out retail forever. Because 10,000 tokens is 27,000, 30,000. As in every other market, a downturn turned into where retail could still buy back in for under $4,000 and have substantial holdings. They've effectively would kill retail from that perspective. then it'd be a whole different ball game when we come in here. I know, guys, we have this, and we're gonna sit on this because look at everybody who's trying to pine in for 500 shares to get for 15. Yeah, and it would be one of those things. Like we're starting to spend just to get 1,000 shares now, which is 10% of what we were pining for when we were buying them. You know, so it would change perspective. So that's why I tell my audience, start looking at the ones that haven't moved like XRP while we're in these consolidations. Start building into something that hasn't done that, that has the same feasibility, the same viability. And a lot of people don't like algo in my audience, but algo has similar viability. It has similar deals in other regions. And I know, I get it, there's a lot of skepticism. But depending on if you liked XRP or not, the people say the same thing. We just happen to like XRP and believed in it. I believe in algo, and I've believed in it since 8 and 9 cents. So I certainly believe in it at 24 cents. And if I have to give a lot of it back, well, look how many times I gave it back with XRP. Think about it. How many times did I have XRP after the bull run was ended and we sold out, and when we bought back in at 23? How many times did we not sell when it went from 34 to 95 to 38 to 68 to 42 to 87 to 49 to 58 to 77 to 95 back to 38, and now we're at $3? Because it's all the same cycle. The only reason I ever sold out in 21 because it said this cycle is over, and if you hold, you're losing 90% of what you have. And you may make it back in another cycle, but look at the other altcoins. The bottom line is most of the altcoins, like for example, algo is still down. Do you know how much it's down? You're getting it 10 cents on the dollar from its past bull market. And the ironic part is people leave when I talk like this because they think I'm talking trash about XRP. But in reality, I'm trying to show you how fundamental wealth is built along the same philosophy. The same philosophy. And if you started with 10,000 XRP, and right now it's worth 30,000, and you're like, I'm just going to take my money back. I'm just going to take my money back. So you sell 10%. You sell 10%. You get $3,000 back and you have 9,000 tokens. You buy 14, 15,000 algo, and now all of a sudden you're sitting there at some point in the future and you're looking at it saying, I can't believe I spent one day $3,000 or $3,500 on XRP, and now I have 9,000 XRP. I have, what would this end up being? So, what is it? 0.243. And now I've got 12,000 algo. I've got 9,000 XRP. This is unbelievable. Or then you're like, you know, I probably shouldn't do this because I love XRP, but goddamn, XDC is so fucking cheap. I've done my due diligence. I'll hold, and some people do this, but they want to have the, let me hold 7,000 XRP going forward. Hell, if it hits 100,000 per token, or if it hits $100 per token, fuck, I'm already good. If it hits all those parabolic numbers, we're good. We're golden. Well, now you take those 2,000 XRP that are worth $6,000, 6,000, and you're like, nah, I hear a lot about XDC. I don't know how much I want to buy, but hell, it's for the hell of it. 0.078. That's 76,000 tokens. So now all of a sudden you're like, fuck. Off that initial $3,500, I've got 7,000 XRP. I've got 75,000 XDC, and I've got over 12,000 algo off of the initial XRP purchase. That, and only that, is what I'm talking about, how you turn one asset into many others. But you also, so my suggestion was, well, in the bear market, if you could swing it, remember this? Buy twice as many XRP as you want, and we have a gift at 38 cents. Remember the old, I bought I did it live on air, the extra $5,000 in it right there. So then I wouldn't have to go, let me sell off 10,000 down here, but you have to start somewhere. And I would be more than happy to be sitting here with 7,000 XRP, 75,000 XDC, 12,000 algo, when all I put in was $3,500. Could you imagine sitting here saying that? That is how true wealth is built. That's exactly what I did when I was buying my mining stocks. And then if I had extra collateral, I would buy what I wanted. You know, it's how I approach these things. How did we get up here? I didn't want to show miners yet. Fuck, you see silver's over 42. Insanity. But you get the picture. This is how you build wealth. But I wouldn't necessarily chop them off after every 10% gain. I would want to wait for the move. And people are like, well, how do you know the move's coming? Well, if I'm buying something, I have to believe the move's coming. Otherwise, what the hell am I buying for? I'm certainly not buying because some guy on YouTube told me to. Even if I am that guy on YouTube, you sure as hell shouldn't be buying because this asshole said it. You know, so... But you can appreciate what I'm saying, I'm sure. So that's a very strong message. So the other thing is I'm seeking out the next segment in this call-in. We've done 2 segments, and I'll divulge a little bit after. Good morning. 11:16 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Friday, September 12th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So, I hope that gave you a little insight into what I'm trying to say when I try to say you can divulge and you can sell off portions or you can just take your money back. My goal with the miners is to get back every dollar I had and still have more than I started with in the miners by a significant margin. I haven't sold off a single IOTA yet, or a single dime, out of my miners. They're still so cheap relative. It's just, now when I look at Fortuna over $10, I'm like, oh my God, it's over 10. When I look at Hecla over 11, I'm like, oh my God, it's over 11. When I look at Barrett Gold about to be at 30, I'm like, oh my God. Like, I remember when you were at 14 stuck. Hecla, when you were stuck at $4.50, $5, and I'm begging the audience to buy you, and here you are at 11. Or Fortuna, my baby, was all the way down to $2.50, $3, $4, and now it's over 10. Or no, over 8, almost 9. And First Majestic was all the way down to $4.40 after that acquisition, $4.25. And all of a sudden it's up over 10. Oh boy, I get into jollies going. Silver Court Mining is up over 5. Dolly Varden is pushing that mid 4.5 tier now. And that's significantly undervalued. But let me get back into the real crypto talk. Otherwise, I'm going to lose my entire audience. So, but also, I always actively seek the comments for a viable candidate to call in. As we've done 2 segments so far. They'll become more popular over time. And over time, one day, this is just going to be a call-in show. Mark my words. We're just slowly transitioning in real time. Believe it. And then there'll be many more topics than just crypto, within reason. So XRP, let's talk about the gist of it. $3.03. Still, I like the path we're on right now. If we can get some volume. If we can get some volume, I would like the path we're on. Moving average convergence divergent is starting to flip more bullish here in the daily. We're getting closer to the rate cut decision. If we get 75 basis points or more, you're going to have to seal your ass to the seat because we're going to start moving. If we get 25 basis points or less, you're probably going to have to glue your ass to the seat because you're going to melt out. So, one case you're going to have a rocket ship up, and the other case you're going to melt. Either way, I believe gold, silver, and commodities, precious metals, mining stocks, they're going to be happy. If we get 100 basis points, they're going to go, oh my God, this is the best environment ever. The fact that LaGuardia and the ECB, the European Central Bank, said that the Eurozone has done a successful and has done a great job in quantitative easing. I almost fell out of my seat yesterday. I said, oh my God, this is quantitative easing? I mean, quantitative tightening? She said we've done a great job in QT. And I'm like, if this is quantitative tightening, what the hell is QE for the central banks? And like I've said before, you think I'd be mad because I'm the guy who's publicly said 1 billion times which is why I don't run for office or I don't want to be a political figure because it wouldn't end well for me. I already know it. I would raise the federal funds rate from 4.15 to over 20% on my first act. I make that 24% because it'd go up 2,000 basis points day one. And I meet a lot of skepticism with it, but think about it. Your savings rate now, if you have any money in the bank, has now overnight gone to 24%. Which means if you got 100 grand in the bank, you essentially don't have to work as hard, folks. You make 24 grand a year compounding. So next year you make 24% on 124 grand. And it doesn't stay there forever. As we get our budget under control, in about 2 years, a year or 2 years of a little bit of pain, it comes down to 15. And as we stabilize it, because we want to have a good savings rate, we stay somewhere between that 10 and 15%. And that's still low to me, but you make people happier. I still think 20% should be the minimum, but what do I know? So I would be willing to cut it to 10 if we got our budget right. But understanding the savings rate goes down and then you have to work harder. When the savings rate is lower, we work harder. Because the rate that we pay for our loans, for our houses, for anything, is still going to be absorbent and inflated. Never even close to equal to what you're getting back in your savings rate. The saving rate should never be lower than the rate you're getting on a loan, in my opinion. In this country, we went from the world's greatest creditor to the world's largest debtor nation. When we were giving out credit, it was fantastic. Just think about it. You're sitting at your house, you're doing great, you paid off your mortgage, you got all this crypto, you got all this commodities and oil and emerging markets and whatever. Maybe you like fucking the S&P, the Dow, you got all this stuff. You got more money than you know what to do with. Hell, you're wiping your ass with $100 bills at this point, facetiously, of course. And now all of a sudden somebody calls you and now you're in the business of your loaning things. Well, you still got all this wealth and now you're loaning it out for X amount of interest. You're doing great. Well, now all of a sudden the USA is the world's largest debtor nation, which means we might be sitting here doing all this stuff, but the only reason we're able to do this and live this fancy lifestyle is because we're borrowing from other countries. We're printing out money that's not even in existence, that shouldn't be there, just devaluing our own cause. That's the same thing that happens when you see a company say, we've sold X amount of dollars of common stock to buy Bitcoin. So they've just put artificial amounts of shares in to create dollars that shouldn't have been there, which makes a bigger pool, which makes what you hold worth less, so that they could buy something else that they think is going to appreciate on your dollar. So I think that's a great way to look at it, and there's so much more I could offer to this audience outside of crypto that I try to every single day. But I feel like the only way to really truly let it sit in is if we do have more people calling in, if I open it up even deeper. And, it starts to turn into a 1 hour segment, X amount of days a week, to where it's nothing but this caller to that caller to this caller to that caller. No time limit. You don't know how long it's going to take in my experience if I let my caller talk through. It's somewhere between 12 and 20 minutes. And my sample size is 2. Like I said, in my experience. So, we've got that. And then everybody asked me, Tom, if you think there's going to be this big drop, why don't you sell your crypto? Why would I sell it now? We had that opportunity back in December and especially January when I said it to sell, and then we could buy it back 60 to 75. Well, we had a significant drop, but we had a great opportunity to buy it. So now why would I sell when most of it's far outweighed still from where it was at when it had dropped back down in fucking January? It doesn't make any sense. That was just an opportunity because I wanted to get longer in mining stocks, and I made it very clear in the videos I did. I sold 75% of my crypto, not XRP. Only the bag of XRP that was bought during that $5,000 when it dropped back to 38. The ones I bought at 34 are not to be touched. And damn it, I pound the table because that gets missed so much in the way people repeat what I say. He sold his XRP. No, I sold something that was supposed to sit in cash that I bought 5,000 more in XRP, and it appreciated to an amount that I would have never thought. I mean, I thought it was going to happen, but I didn't think that I was going to have that much XRP to do what I needed to do. And now that's turned into so many different miners, that has turned into so many different other alt. It's just the same philosophy that I teach is what I use. It's the only thing I know. It's the only thing that's ever worked for me. And it's a mixture of what Peter Schiff has been preaching to me for decades, over a decade, more than that, decades. I'm old. And understanding, like, it's not, sometimes, and I heard him say it more now, it's about how much you own, not about the price you paid when the time comes. Because no matter what you paid in crypto, no matter what you paid right now, if we do get the alt wave, because of where you bought it outside of XRP, no offense to my XRP friends, but gosh darn it, we've moved from 34, let's be realistic. Let's just say 38 cents, because that was in 24. But the truth is we moved from 28 cents, 28 and a half cents. But we moved from 38 cents and we're at $3. You know, as to where algo is still at 24 cents. Remember in the bull market of 21, algo was at almost $3 and XRP didn't even hit 2. So it's all about understanding. Look at if I'm wrong about algo, I'm fine with it. I'm okay with it. I'm okay. You feel that? That's the criticism I get for owning algo. I think I might buy more. I think I might actually buy more algo because of this. I might actually up it to 50,000 now. I actually am. I'm going to up it. I'll never tell you when, but it's going to be up. Oh, yeah. You see that setup? What does that remind you of in the... Whoops. What setup does this possibly remind you of that we literally just went through and we got criticized the whole way up? And the only reason you guys trusted me is because you actually liked XRP. The average person who looked at my XRP chart when it was at 38 cents, when I said it was going to go to 549, and I showed the exact set, or 639 overall, but I showed it step by step going to $1.18 and then ultimately getting the verification at $1.32. I showed every wave before it happened how it would have to do on the legs. And people thought I was nuts. And I kept this chart, and I'll always keep this chart for a reason. This was our blueprint for fucking years. And that little line that I have drawn in there, that's this orange line, the only reason I never delete that is because I drew that out and said, if it does something stupid like this, well, it actually was a little different. It got hidden. But it was a little line, and it had the consolidation right in the middle here. And that was like up in here, and it stayed, and it followed the trajectory. But this is what we used as our blue map the entire time for XRP. The entire time of this pattern. It was unbelievable the way it actually followed it by the end. And I think it's off right now. It got moved a little bit, but it happens. But you get the picture. It's definitely off. It looks like. Because it was December. Well, yeah, because it was December. So it's definitely off. Whatever. Who cares? It already had the breakout. But you get the picture. That's... Oh, it's in the weekly, so it probably looks a little different too. But this was our basis. And when we got rejected in the bear market in the 21, my whole conviction was I am never buying XRP again. I sold it at $1.66. And I said I'm never buying it again until it gets to this uptrend. And this was prior, but it didn't actually hit the uptrend. What happened here? This all looks weird now. How is this so far off right now? This doesn't look right. Oh, it did. It pulled it way up. Shit. This is what sucks about when they do the updates and stuff. If you're not actually paying attention, see, it could have fucked us. Yeah, that's better. I was going to say, why does it look like that? It's not supposed to be way down there. The only reason those other ones were even down there is because that's supposed to be the lows there. Yeah, this fucking made it look weird now. That's okay. The bottom line is we had the 30 something cents when it hit the uptrend and then it came back down and it always bounced off of this. Even when it came back through, it bounced through and then it bounced back up. It's a little off right now. It's close. I should time it with that 31. But you get the picture. So like we waited from that bull run, the resistance, we waited this whole time for it to come to the uptrend. Then it hit 28 cents. We bought it and sold because we still hadn't finished the pattern. And then we bought it back at 34. And the only reason we bought it here was in like March. What was this? Might have been right here. I'll never forget this 34-cent area in March. I'll never forget this 3-week period because I received so much backlash. And we talked about it on the uptrend too, but this was like, you need to buy it now or you're going to miss out, because that's when they talked about quantitative easing. And I received so much backlash for some reason when I simply said you have to buy now, and no matter what your asset is, this would be the time. And like, you bought it, it went up, and this is part of what I'm saying. It went all the way up, eventually up to 95 cents, came all the way back down to eventually hit the uptrend again. And it gave us another opportunity at around 38 cents. 38, 39 cent area. And then it got on top of it, wrote it as support, and boom. Did it perfectly. Did it perfectly. Got out to the first area. Filled out most of that 383 target. And then if you look at it from the whole scale, it's going to end up going much higher. But we used that as our framework for years. And I'm like, I know it looks stupid, but one day it won't. And then when it gets there, no one's going to acknowledge, and it won't feel like we were talking about it for so long. And now here we are again. Now it's trying to finish this whole vision out and seeing what needs to happen. I will always show you the what if it breaks down. Because I like it in my own, because that's when I know. If you weren't in something or if you're trying to buy more, that's the level. If it breaks down. I don't like to chase green either. It's a very swift, like I wasn't expecting to buy as much XDC as I did, but it dropped 7.8% or whatever it was. So I bought more that day than I would have normally bought. One could argue a significantly more amount. It's more substantial because of where it was at. But I'm not convinced it's not going to have another 20% drop. So it's got to prove it to me. Once it proves it to me, I'm going to be the happiest person too. But anyhow, before I run out of time here, mining stocks, because obviously I'm boring people. 20% of the audience left when I'm trying to feed advice, which I like seeing that. Because it shows me how many people are really worthy of the information. Like, you don't want the people that aren't going to spread the goodwill. You know, you want people who actually believe in the cause. And I've noticed it's about 1 out of 10 people that come in actually care. 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10. And with what we've seen in the world recently, I think it needs to be more like 5 out of 10 would help. That want to help each other. But it's 1 out of 10. Unless you get something here, now, and in the moment, what do you care? The DXY is at 97.68, still vastly under $1. I mean, that's just horrendous. The 10-year government bonds is up 4 basis points to 4.07. Gold-silver ratio is down 1.16% to about that 86.4 to 1 ratio, which means you can buy 86 ounces of silver for 1 ounce of gold. Great ratio for silver, way out of balance still. Gold's up 1/3 or another $11.45 to $3,644. Barrett mining is down 1.39%, just about $29. B2 gold, it's crazy to see it up at $4.46. Sorry, it was at $4.30 something in pre-market. Up 1 cent, so I was actually expecting to see it in the red. Looking pretty good. Silver's up 1.46%, up 60 cents, and it's getting to a level that I've never seen in my lifetime. It's almost there, up to $42.12. Pan America Silver's up just over 1/3 almost to $37 a share. I remember when I was sitting at just $18 and I was telling this audience, this is a fucking by God steal. Whew! And now it's up at 37 almost. Fortuna Silver Mines is down just about 0.5%. A little bit better than it was faring in pre-market. Fortuna was having a bad pre-market, but it was up over, what was it up yesterday? 8%. First Majestic was up 10% yesterday. I can't believe First Majestic, by the way, we skipped the Fortuna, but finish off Fortuna's thoughts. At $8.39. I mean, it seems like just yesterday it was at the $4.30 range. And then seems really like it was just this morning when it was sitting at $5.15, when First Majestic was sitting at $5.25. And I'm basically laughing, saying, I cannot believe that they're still giving us this kind of a bargain at this point in time. And here we are at almost $8.40. And First Majestic up another 2.55%, 26 cents up to $10.66. Like, I remember talking about First Majestic, like, I can't wait till I could say $9. Now it's at $10.66 and cooking. Hecla Mining, not a month and a half ago, we were talking about it at $4.50, then $5.25, saying this is ridiculous. And then it had a pull down to $4.90 something, and we're like, this is, and that's when we went even deeper into it. And now it's sitting here up 0.75% today, after another 5 or 6% yesterday, on top of about 11% a couple days ago. And it's up to $11.24. It's unbelievable how quickly this is starting to move. It's starting to show kind of the same passion now that Kinross is showing, that's up over 23. It's starting to show some real positive gains here. And as some of you may know and may not know, it's the single largest silver producer in the USA, Hecla Mining. Silvercorp Metals is starting to push as well. Just about 2 weeks ago, we were buying it at $4.54. And now, because this was one of my later gets, not the latest, well, this was my latest one. You know, we picked off 1,000 shares. That's my feasibility. I like to have at least 1,000. So like with Hecla, SBM, Fortuna, First Majestic are at least 1,000. Pan America's just over 300. B2 Gold's over 3,000 plus, almost 3,500 shares. Barrick Gold's over 400. But it's all kind of a rhyme and reason. But Silvercorp is up 3.97%. Finally broke over that $5 mark, sitting comfortably at $5.37. And that was one I talked about just a couple weeks ago when some were asking. It's got an almost identical chart to Fortuna Silver Mines. Makes a healthy amount of profit. Now I think it was $95 million in the last earnings, or the last that I checked. 93 or 95. And it's extremely undervalued in my opinion. Pays a small dividend. But it was one that I thought was a good price in that 440, 450 range, which is where we were buying it not too long ago. And now at least it's returned positively up to $5.37. Dolly Varden, we were talking about just under $4 and right around $4 to $4.20. I said I wouldn't keep it on here because it was the only one that I own that doesn't make a profit as of yet. It's very close. But I think it is going to be a hard hitter in the future. So I'm just going to keep it on here. The hell with it. It is part of my holdings, so I'm just going to keep it on here. And it hasn't done anything in the last several weeks. It's basically exactly where it was at when I took it off of here. So we'll see what happens here. This is just one overtime that it's just one of the later ones because I had already built into my other ones and I needed to put it. And I'm very heavy on the silver miners, and these are two in particular that are my, if I can get there, I'm going to be very, very grateful when I got here. So I basically built my own ETF when it comes to gold and silver mining. More emphasis on the silver miners. But Barrick Gold's the biggest gold miner in the world outside. It would be the biggest mining company outside of Newmont Mining for value worldwide. So it's the biggest gold miner. B2 Gold, vastly undervalued. It's had a record output of silver. It's the first time in its history in 24 that they actually pulled more weight in silver than gold, which bode very well for the pricing that's coming with silver. So, and then obviously 6 out of 8 of my companies that are in my own personal ETF that I built myself. So if you're trying to copy me, even though this is not financial advice, in my own ETF I have 8 companies. That's why I had to put the other one on here to keep. And before I took it out because I wasn't paying for TradingView, so I could only have so many. Now I can have as many as I want, so I might as well put my stuff up here. So in my own ETF I have Barrick Gold, B2 Gold, First Majestic, Fortuna Silver Mines, Hecla Mining, Silvercorp Metals, and Dolly Varden Silver Corporation. And then obviously I'm a fan of precious metals and gold and silver. How you decide to store them, whether it's in a vault, in a bank, it's up to you. You know, you don't want to have too much at home because obviously when you leave, you're not going to, you just don't want to have everything in one place. You want to have things stored away. So just do it whatever fits for you. You know, or have a vault of your own. Just do what you got to do. But I don't believe in the U.S. dollar, so every bet I make is against the U.S. dollar, including my retirement, which I started my IRA, my self-directed IRA, through the JP Morgan app, which is where I hold my my commodities, which are my mining stocks, and my emerging markets funds, but they're in two separate accounts. My one's just a self-directed trading account, but this is a self-directed IRA. You can do $7,000 a year, no more. And I started in 24, so I've maxed it out this year. So 14,000 I've put in, and right now it's up, and just under, what is it, 9 months, which is over 2 different cycles, but 9 months it's up just over $2,000. So great rate of return. And you're looking year over year to get a decent return. This is one of my emerging markets that I think is going to be an up-and-comer, and it's lagging behind. But these are the ones I have. Why does it show it like this? What is going on here? Doesn't even show the price right now. There we go. But they had a good day yesterday. They had a good day. But Vanguard, Emerging Markets Bond Fund, and the Emerging Markets Select Stock. And then I have Fidelity Emerging Markets Fund. Fidelity's doing great as well over the last year. Fidelity's up 16.3%. And that one, 21% on this one. So they're doing phenomenal since I started with them. Vanguard's up 23% over the last calendar year. Freaking phenomenal. I actually bought them at a perfect time this year when we had that big dip. I would like to believe I bought this one out of its slump. It was down on the year, and then, yeah. So anyhow, I bet against the against the U.S. dollar and the USA at every step I can. And this one it's underperforming. So if it continues to underperform, in 1 year from now, or 6 months from now, I may rotate it out. I don't want one only producing 3%. However, I only bought this one in April, so I can't judge it based on what it's done the last calendar year. This was part of I made all this money in crypto. I'm going to max it out now. So, oh no, this was the one, yeah. Because I had one Vanguard and one Fidelity, and then I expanded into another Fidelity and another Vanguard. So, I mean, it hasn't moved much, though. I can tell you that much. I mean, it's moved relative. And I remember it was under $10. That's why I'm surprised when I seen 3%. It's done okay since I bought it. It's up almost 8. I was going to say it's done rather well since I bought it. So maybe I bought it at the perfect time, because over the last calendar year, it's only up 3%. Last 5 years, it's down 11%. You know, 19. The emerging markets weren't doing well. That's why I think it's a good time for them right now. So, like I said, it's not about time in market. It's about timing the sectors. And the difference between you owning your own self-directed IRA, you have to rotate the funds out yourself if you think that part is going to underperform. As to where if you have somebody managing it, an asset manager, they're going to rotate it out. So, well, we'll see what happens in crypto. We'll see what happens around the board. Let me say hi to a few of you. I basically put my message out there, and then we're going to call it a day probably. I don't see any new members of Tom's Army. There was no super chats I don't believe I had to get to. Oh, no, wait a minute. There is super chats I have to get to. I seen 2 of them. I think they just recently came in. I didn't think there was any. Okay, so I do have to get to that as well. So we'll get to the super chats that came in. I didn't see any until I reset my screen. So they just recently came in. Frankie Fresh, welcome in along with the Ricci Farms. Thank you so much for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor. Tanya May, welcome in, love. Thank you so much for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years. 1 month away, I know, from the 3-year XRP Diamond Hands badge. But for now, I'll say it while I can with the XRP 589 Moon badge. I appreciate you, Tanya. Probably our most popular member. Miss Vicky, I always hold the connection with you and Tanya as well, our most loving members. Or should I say our most beloved members. Also our most loving members. But yeah, she's an amazing, amazing person. Very honest person, too. I admire honest people. Jay from X, welcome in. Texa Poppy, good evening, or good morning. Frankie Fresh, you're in band as well? Yes, me too. I like that nice round figure with band. If I can get to a double of what I have, I would be happy, but it would have to take about a 20 to 25% drop for me to consider doing anything of substance. Pierce Aluminum, thank you so much for tuning in. Let's see. Dan Marginal, welcome in. Thanks for being in Tom's Army for your second month with the Dusty House Crypto News, along with Miss G. Stott. Thank you so much, Miss Stott. Such a blessing to have you in here the last several months and bonding. Actually, longer than that now, but bonding in here with us, seeing you in the Telegram. Oh, it's awesome to see some of you. The Fine Group, welcome in, and thanks for being a very trusted mod in here. And the essential right-hand man in the Telegram. A big, strong admin who takes care of the not-so-friendly stuff. And thank you for being in Tom's Army. I can't believe it's all well over 6 months now with the XP Predictor. Excellent. Excellent. Let's see. Jan, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 years. Another very popular member here, Jan, from the very beginning. It's another name when I see it. I'm like, I cannot believe this beautiful soul stuck with me for so long. She was, even through the days when I didn't talk so nice. Jan knows. And she's been in Tom's Army for over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hand badge. She knows. Jan knows I was not so, wasn't so pretty at times. But thank you for being a very trusted mod in here as well. It's essential to have you a mod. You understand what this community is all about. And you can only gain that with experience. Medic Kush, welcome in. I don't think and we talked about that comment already. Does KRAKEN offer XDC IOTA ban dent graph XYO? Yes on XDC, yes on band, yes on dent, yes on XYO. Graph, I don't know because I had to part with that as I talked about in one of my lives, just because I was doing something a little bit different. And I was going a little bit deeper in other places, particularly with the XDC side of town. You know, I couldn't in good faith do it that way when that's an ERC20 token, when I wanted more XDC along the way now that it's available. But let me see, I'll look for you so I can tell you. I know offhand, though, the other ones I said, yes, IOTA I know for sure is not. That's the whole point of WEEX, but at the same time, you know, I'm not sure I'm ready to go back down that avenue yet. Kind of sticking with what I know in a more safer cycle right now. I don't trust crypto. I don't trust having, I don't want my stuff. I just don't trust it in the way that I once did. I trust what I know. I just don't trust who's giving me what I have to hold. I don't trust wallets either, so save it. When everybody says wallets and all this stuff. I've had my issues with wallets, as you all know. Fortunately, I got my tokens back, but that was through a wallet. Hot wallet, that one. Cold wallet stuff, the same back end bullshit. Anyhow. I'm not here to offend. Let's see. You said graph. I'm assuming they would have GRT. Yeah, they have graph. They definitely have graph. So yeah, they have graph. So they have a lot of stuff. They just, the only thing out of your list they don't have is IOTA, which it's painful for me, but it is what it is. I've made my peace for now. Shane, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XP Meteor. I love HBAR, XLM, Quan as well. Oh yeah, XLM definitely needed. HBAR definitely needed. It's hard for me to always advise because we were buying it at 4 and 5 cents. That still sits with me long term. It's just I don't talk about it. I won't add to it because I think I can, like, to me, it's apples to oranges. Like, if I was going to buy 10,000 tokens or something, it's not going to be HBAR at 24 cents. It's going to be Algo at 24. And a lot of people vehemently disagree with me when I say it. And that's okay. We're allowed to have our own opinions. You know, just as much as I say what I believe, I love seeing what everybody else believes, too. The Fine Group, welcome in, and thanks for being a very trusted mod for over 6+ months with the XP Predictor. And also being a very trusted mod in here, Define. I mean, not Define. We already know Define's a very trusted mod. Didn't I already say you? You snuck back in here, Define, into the midst of saying you're a very trusted mod. No, I'll pawn it off. Crypto Cooter is what I meant for 6+ months with the XP Predictor. A very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram as well. Thank you so much for your help. The Cannabis Podcast, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Oh, well, I would do a lot more than just the big rate hike. There would be a lot more. There would be a lot more. Yeah, DAG at 3 cents would definitely be on my radar, except it's not available on my tier 1 exchange still to this day, and I won't use Uphold. But yeah, I'm definitely not disagreeing with that. Arichi Funds, and thank you for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor. The Cannabis Podcast, definitely. We won't do a call-in today, but I'll definitely, you know my email, Cannabis Podcast. Send me an email and we'll set it up. We'll start with the bang in one of these next lives. You're definitely somebody I'd like to talk to. We'll go over a little back and forth. So yeah, email me. Anybody who's interested in the call-in segment, send me an email, and if I can get 4 solid calls, but I would need to get your number, because to keep it flowing, I would make sure, well, no, you would have my number too, but just in case you didn't call when I said, I would want to have a way of calling. Either way, I'm going to have your number once you call. But that's what I want to start doing. I want to start building segments. Try to do it through the Telegram. So this would be a way, so the members of Tom's Army, you'll get the first crack if it's appropriate. Unless there's something that needs to be discussed, like with the first caller. But try to go through the routes of the Telegram so I can vet you and know that we're not going to spam our audience and all this other stuff. So go through the Telegram, go through the proper channels, and unless I say to email me, you know, try to go through here, because we have an on-air section here, and I'm going to be more active in this section. I've just been trying to do this. I know Define's trying to go through here as well. So go through here, and try to, my last message of the day, after I say thank you to the ones who just sent the super chats. Frankie Fresh, thank you so much for the $19.99 donation, and also being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor. Says Tom, thanks for everything. If it wasn't for you, I never would have had 10,000 tokens of XP at 88 cents. If it wasn't for you, I never would have had 10,000 tokens of XP at 88 cents. That is a beautiful thing. You went from $8,800 to 30 fucking thousand. That is unbelievable. That too was the right time to buy XRP, in my opinion. That's a huge change in financial wealth. Imagine that money still sitting there a year and a half later, or whatever it's been, 2 years, a year, 5 months, whatever the case may be. In the US dollar, that 8,800 would be devalued just in this calendar year alone by like 13 to 15%. Hell, if you want to just do it based on our rate of return, it's like 8%, which is undervalued. You know, it's, so you're doing great. I appreciate it, and you are welcome. That's honestly, that sums up why I do what I do. Lonzo, welcome in. I think utility will have an extended bull rally due to global adoption and being the source of on-demand liquidity with the up-and-coming liquidity issues. I agree, but remember, some of that liquidity pressure is going to be eased by a monetary policy that they can't back with digital. You can't do it with something that's not viable in any other way than basically moving digital money. So I think a lot of people are discounting how much of that slack is going to be picked up by a reshuffling in the monetary value of gold and silver. And when the president, whoever the acting one is, when they decide to do it, when they revalue gold and silver. Roosevelt did it back. They did it in the 70s. You know, they've done it before. It's been done a couple times. It's actually written into our Constitution that the sitting president can revalue gold. So I think that's going to be a constraint too. So when everybody thinks that, I think, this is what I think. Yes, we can get very wealthy off of crypto if done right, and we will. But I think that they're actually going to get the debt wiped when they revalue the gold. I think that's why they talk so much and have a blind eye towards that sector. There's wealth being made in mining stocks right now like you couldn't fathom right now for some. And some of my audience is part of that some. It's just not. It's just wait a. I really don't know what we're all going to be thinking when we're sitting here in 26 at this time, because it feels great in 25, but take it to the next step. Take it through an alt season that actually has played through by this time next year. Take it to where gold's going to be at this time next year when we have quantitative easing and money printing out the ass and rate cuts, many of them by then. I mean, just think of where we're going to end up. It's rather unbelievable when you start thinking about it. It's pretty unbelievable. So, we got nothing but the sky's the limit here if we do it right. And we're doing it right. There's many different avenues in this game. Go to the gym. Thank you so much, bro, for the $9.99 donation. I greatly appreciate it. Fortunately, I got my gym stuff done, or my workout at home today. I do an hour, but fortunately I got it done before I did the live. The end of the 5-day week. So now my body gets a couple days off, but I still walk. But I'm having them put my little weight machine together on the 12th. I built my little thing outside. They're going to come here and say, well, what the fuck is this? We usually put machines inside, not in some outside weird fucking, what is this? You know, kind of setup, but it is what it is. Especially with a special needs son. I can't have too much workout equipment inside, so I had to build something outside that will be viable in the winter. It's interesting, and it involves a tarp over the top of the structure with other things. But anyhow, I gotta get going, everybody. I salute you all.